today we're going to be talking about some things that you're going to want to have in place before you start list building. And the list is going to be quite extensive, but don't worry, I'm going to walk you through all of those things in today's episode. You're listening to the Optimized Online Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Stacey Barnes. I'm a customer journey marketing strategist, and I help you maximize sales by optimizing the customer experience. Before we get into all of the things today, I am really excited to share that the Optimized Online Marketing Podcast now has its own Instagram account. So that way you can tag me anytime at Optimized Online Marketing on Instagram. So that's Optimized Online Marketing. It's a lot easier to spell than my name and username, but all of the episodes, all of the past episodes are going to be slowly being added to that Instagram account, as well as all future episodes. But I just really wanted to share that because I was like, hey, it's about time we had a new Instagram account. And technically I used the old Brandon Blossom podcast account that I used to have, and I just updated it with the new Optimized Online Marketing content. But it's exciting because now you can find all of the podcast content on social all in one place at Optimized Online Marketing. All right, first, let's go ahead and define list building. List building is collecting the email addresses of potential customers so that you can communicate and market to them directly. The great thing about an email list is that you get to keep this list no matter what platform you're using. If you're using social media and you're relying on your followers, such as Facebook or Instagram, if Facebook or Instagram ever goes down, or for example, the recent TikTok drama where TikTok went down and there was no way to contact their followers, with your email list, you can contact your followers for as long as you have their emails. You can use MailChimp, you can use ConvertKit, or I guess it's Kit now, MailerLite, ActiveCampaign, a bunch of different software. And you can even use Google to send an email. But really, at the end of the day, the goal of the email list is to have a surefire way to connect with your customers. And part of it is continuing to nurture them through a series of emails, because most customers don't typically buy the first, second, or even third time they hear from you. It takes a while, and having a list allows you to build up that relationship. Now, you can use an email list in conjunction with social media, and that makes it even more effective. But having an email list is an absolute must-have when it comes to running your online business. If you've been in the online space for some time, you probably already know the importance of having an email list. However, most people don't really truly understand the right way to list build. They start building their list before their offer is ready, and then they end up having a bunch of subscribers on their list who aren't necessarily a good fit for the ultimate offer that they're going to sell. So before you start list building, the one thing that you're going to have is an offer. Now, your offer doesn't have to be completed, but you should have a very strong idea of what it is that you're going to sell and have a time frame in which you're going to sell it. The moment that somebody joins your email list, you don't necessarily have to sell your offer right away. In fact, I recommend just holding off just a little bit. You can do a soft sell, but no hard selling until after let's say 3 or 4 emails. But for the most part, as soon as they're on your list, you need to be prepared to sell, because if not, if you start getting people onto your email list and you don't have an offer to sell them, they start to become cold leads. If you're not constantly emailing them every week with some sort of content that continues to nurture that relationship, then they're going to forget who you are. And by the time 2 or 3 months pass by and all of a sudden you pop up in their inbox with a new offer, they're going to wonder what the heck you're doing there. So that's why it's super important to make sure that you have that offer in mind, or at least be nurturing your email list with some new content every week to keep them warm. Otherwise, the longer that they sit on your list without hearing from you, the colder that they get, and essentially all that work that you did to get them on the list in the first place is a complete waste. All right, let's say your offer is ready to go and you're ready to sell it. Now, how do you get subscribers on to your email list? Now, there's a lot of back and forth between organic and paid advertising. Ultimately, you're going to have to go either organic or paid or both. But ultimately, what you're going to need to do is give them a reason to join your email list. And that reason usually is some form of a lead magnet. A lead magnet is typically some sort of free resource like a guide, a checklist, a PDF that you will give to somebody in exchange for their email address and essentially their permission to continue to email them. There was an episode back with Zach Spuckler, I believe it's episode 13, where we talked about creating a valuable lead magnet and the 4 different criteria that you need in order to make sure that it is something that somebody actually wants to download. So those 4 criteria, let's review them. I may do these slightly out of order and not call them exactly what Zach called them in that podcast, but you'll get the idea. The first one is that it is valuable. It is something that they can't find through ChatGPT, through a regular YouTube video. It has to be packaged in some sort of way that is valuable to them enough that they want to give up their email address for it. The second thing is that it must be relevant to your paid offering. If, for example, let's say you're a baker and you're showing people how to open up a successful bake shop, most people don't need knowledge on how to bake something. They typically don't necessarily need how to bake cookies or how to bake cakes. They want to know how to sell them. Now, you can probably include some things on how to bake cakes faster or bake cookies more efficiently. But ultimately, at the end of the day, what these bakers are looking for is how to sell. So they know how to bake, but how do you sell? This is a common mistake that a lot of people make when it comes to creating some sort of free resource or guide, is that it is relevant in that it is similar to their business, but it's not relevant as far as what they're actually going to be offering. So if you could create a quick little guide on how to sell cookies on social media, how to photograph them, and write up descriptions on how to sell them on Instagram, great. That's a lot more relevant. This leads into the next important point of a powerful lead magnet, is that it has to be digestible. It is something that somebody needs to be able to get through in about 5 to 15 minutes, not necessarily in the implementation of it, but at least through the content and understanding the concept. Now, when it comes to photographing cookies for Instagram, that's a quick little win that somebody could take from your lead magnet. They could go ahead, set up the cookie, take a photo, and maybe you have some cute little editing hacks in your freebie. They could try it out and then post it on Instagram. Boom, they're done. They got their quick little win in about 15 minutes. If you teach a language, are there some phrases that you can teach within 5 to 15 minutes that they can start implementing right away? So for example, some key phrases would be like, hi, my name is blank, or my Spanish favorite, which is ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Which is, where's the library? Essentially, if these are quick wins that people can get excited about, that they're excited to show their friends, kind of like, hey, look what I can do. So when someone gets a quick win like that, it's fun and exciting, allowing them to want to continue working with you, learning more from you. You want to keep up this momentum as they continue to work with you, as they continue to go through your content. So ultimately, that will lead them into your paid offering. Now, there are 2 ways to nurture a lead once they're on your list. The first is a series of welcome emails. The second is regular content. But first, let's talk about that welcome sequence. The welcome sequence can include a number of different things, but ultimately what we were trying to do is make sure that they're using the lead magnet that you've given them. And with each email that you send, it includes another piece of valuable information or some sort of follow-up information that will help them complete the lead magnet. Now, the first email that they should receive in this welcome sequence is the link to download their freebie. It should be right at the top. It should say, hey, thank you for joining my, whatever your name of the list is. Here is your freebie, and a big old button or link directly to the freebie. Then below it, you can introduce yourself, a little bit about what qualifies you as an industry expert, and some more information on other ways that you can help them. Just keep that follow-up section short and sweet so they're not overwhelmed. The main thing is that they download that freebie right away. Now, creating nurture sequences is a whole masterclass, a whole can of worms in and of itself. So I'm not going to dive too much into it, but essentially you're going to want to send about 2 or 3 more emails at minimum, following up with them as soon as they join your list. The frequency of how often you send out these emails, most people like to send them out every other day. So for example, if they sign up on a Monday, the following emails will be sent out on a Wednesday, a Friday, a Sunday, etc., etc. Or you can do it one after the other. But I think doing a sequence of 3 or 4 emails is in the following days after they sign up on your list is a little bit overwhelming. So I would try to space it out at least a day or 2 in between those emails. But at the end of the day, all of these emails are just there to kind of introduce who you are, additional resources where they can find you, such as a podcast or a YouTube channel, and then maybe some other ways that some other freebies that you might have that can help supplement the freebie that they've already downloaded. The goal of this series is to get that new lead to know, like, and trust you. And whatever content that you can create to help you achieve that is the best way to go. Now, some more advanced online marketers will encourage you to start an email funnel where basically you move from the nurturing part of emailing to actually the selling part, and you'll start introducing a series of emails to help promote and sell whatever your product or program is. Email funnels is a whole other can of worms that we're not quite ready to dive into today. So let's go ahead and move on to the next segment of this podcast, which is your content strategy. In terms of list building, your content strategy is another way to keep your audience warm. It gives them valuable content on a regular basis, usually once a week or every other week, depending on how in-depth your content is. But essentially, you're continuing to give value on a regular basis so that your audience continues that know, like, and trust process. It's also a great way to create a library of all of your knowledge so that people who are new to your list can search all of your past content. So for example, if you, again, are a bakery that is teaching other people how to open a bake shop, they can look at your blog or your YouTube channel or your podcast and see all that content from the past and be like, this is really cool. If people like what you have to say, they can binge on all of that past content, which is really great for building up that like and trust in a very short amount of time. But again, if you're a little bit newer and don't quite have a lot of content yet, that's totally okay. Take this time to start getting into the habit of regularly creating content and make sure that you're releasing it on time, or at least on a similar schedule. For example, if you say you're going to release a podcast every week, make sure you're doing it every week. If you're going to say you're going to release a YouTube video 2 times every week, make sure you're doing it 2 times every week. But honestly, I would start with once a week. You're going to need some time to find your rhythm. So don't promise 2 videos a week if you can really only handle just 1. Your content can also lead back to your lead magnet. So even though you may already have subscribers listening to your podcast or your YouTube channel, you still want to encourage anyone who's new to your channel to download the lead magnet. And if they're already on your email list, maybe they've forgotten about it, and it's a great reminder to let them know, hey, that lead magnet is there waiting for you in your inbox in case you forgot. So now you may be thinking, this is great. I've got an email list, I've got a lead magnet, I've got a welcome sequence, and I have regular content. Where do I find those leads? Where do I start? There is a variety of different ways that you can find people to join your list. And I'm not going to go into all of them today, but let's talk about a few basic ones. First, let me address the elephant in the room, which is that Instagram is not the best place for list building organically. Now, if you wanted to run ads to Instagram, it's actually working really, really well. And I've run ads on Instagram to list build for a few different projects of mine. So I highly recommend doing Facebook ads. But if you're like, I don't really have a big budget, I don't have a huge ad spend, I really need organic, I'm sorry to say that Instagram is not the best place to go. Now, some people have also been saying TikTok is great for organic growth. Now, with TikTok, the thing that you need to understand with that is that you have to be capturing certain trends. TikTok is a very trend-based social media platform, and if you're not following these trends, you could miss the boat. There are 2 resources really that you need when it comes to list building. One is time, the other is money. And if you have both, that's fantastic. Most of us really only have one or the other. If you have time, then you can rely on organic resources to grow your list. One of the best platforms for organic growth is YouTube and Pinterest, but both of these options rely on one fundamental that has been common since the beginning of internet time, and that is search engine optimization. You need to make sure that you are writing a great description on either your YouTube channel or your pins. The tricky thing about search engine optimization, while I highly recommend it and I highly recommend doing the basics on this either on your website or all of your content, you still need to make sure that you're keeping up with current trends. For example, some words that may have attracted tons of people in the past may not necessarily be attracting them now. So you need to stay current and up to date on the latest SEO trends in order for either YouTube, Pinterest, or any of these organic methods to work. Now, I may be coming off a little bit of a Debbie Downer on these organic strategies. I am just trying to make you realize the reality of it, that it does take time. I was editing this and I kind of want to go back to the topic of Instagram and how some people are seeing success on Instagram through Reels. That is true. So let me talk to you about Instagram for just a moment and kind of what I'm seeing. Reels are really great for organic growth, but you do need to be doing it often and you need to be doing it well. And while I'm thinking about it, the resource for Instagram and doing Instagram well, I highly recommend Brock Johnson of Insta Club Hub. I would look for, I think it's Brock11 Johnson on Instagram. So at Brock11 Johnson on Instagram. So if you're looking for like organic type of growth on Instagram, that is the way to go with Brock. If you're looking for organic growth on YouTube, I would look up Think Media or Sean Cannell on YouTube. And then for Pinterest, the industry leader that I can think of at this moment is Jenna Kutcher. She seems to be doing really well on Pinterest. But all of that said, all of these organic growth strategies, there's different ways that you can make it work. I just want to caution you that it's going to take a bit of time. You're not going to see success and growth right away. And really, when it comes to social media, when it comes to things like Instagram is there to nurture your audience and keep them warm. Similar to what an email list does, it does it in a more kind of organic way. So social media is another method to help with know, like, and trust, but it's not necessarily the best way of building your list quickly and easily. Now, it's great if you want to build your list and you have a little bit of time. So it's a great way to build your list. It's just going to take time. But if you want to build your list a little bit faster because you got a launch coming up in about 2 months, then the method that I highly recommend is Facebook and Instagram ads. So Zach Spuckler of Not Your Average Marketing Podcast has already come on the show. He's episode 13. So if you want more info on how to list build and start with Facebook and Instagram ads, I highly recommend checking that episode out. For this particular episode, the only notes that I'm really going to provide about ads is that it is a much faster way to grow your audience. Even if you do ads, I do highly recommend it that you start small. When you start seeing big numbers, hundreds of people joining your list all at one time, it can start to feel a little bit scary. So start with simply $5 a day. I think Zach recommends $15 a day just to get started. And then that way you'll leave yourself enough budget to kind of test the different ads and see what's working. Zach, again, recommends testing those ads. And again, you should check episode 13 for more on all of that. But start small when it comes to list building. If you grow too fast and you grow too quickly, you'll start to get overwhelmed and even start to self-sabotage. You'll be like, whoa, this is too much. I can't handle this. And then you'll shut everything down. So I highly recommend starting off small, getting your feet wet with ads, getting used to the Facebook Ads Manager. Even if you don't plan on running ads right away, just pop into the Facebook Ads Manager, get comfortable with it, get familiar with it, see how it works. So that way, when you are ready, you already have some idea of what you're walking into. So that was a lot. We covered a lot today as far as list building goes. And the main takeaways that I really want you to get from this episode are that you need to make sure that you have your offer ready before you start list building. Make sure you create a highly valuable lead magnet that your audience can get through quickly and easily. And then make sure that you have a nurture sequence, a follow-up sequence once they get on your list. You don't want to get them on your list and then have them sit there for 2 months and then ultimately grow cold and stale. You want to be creating content that keeps them warm so that ultimately when you are ready to sell, that they're warm, they're excited and ready to buy. That is it, my friends. And this is the part of the episode where I introduce to you my lead magnet, which I am currently still building. Yes, I am putting on an episode and I do not have a lead magnet that's ready for you. I do have one that is available if you want to check it out. It is the Sales Page Optimization Toolkit. You can get that at optimizedsalespage.com. But I am actually changing it because I am changing my target audience to people who want to build and create their very first offer. Now, the link to that lead magnet is going to be at firstofferfasttrack.com. And let me tell you, that is not ready either. You can sign up, but it'll take you to the Sales Page Optimization Toolkit. I'm just telling you this, frankly, because, my goal right now is to just make sure that I am releasing content on a regular schedule. I have a special challenge that I'm going to be offering in July, which is going to lead into another offer that I'm really excited about. But it's not ready yet. And I am out here creating content for the sake of creating content and keeping my list warm. And you're like, she has no lead magnet. What is she even doing? Listen, listen, at the beginning of this episode, I said to make sure that you have an offer in mind. I actually know what it is that I'm going to sell. And if you've noticed these past few episodes, they're all about your offers. And this particular episode is about list building. But it's all about creating and building your first offer and doing your very first launch in a safe space. And so that's the big thing that I wanted to create, is just making sure that people who are creating their and building their offer for the first time or creating a brand new offer need a safe space to launch. And that's lacking in this industry. And so I want to encourage people to not only build and create their offer, but launch it in a safe way. And that's what I'm excited to create for you this summer. But it's not built yet. So yeah, if you want to get on that list, again, the link is supposed to be firstofferfasttrack.com. That's going to take you to the waiting list. Right now, it's going to take you the sales page optimization toolkit, but don't worry. Anyone who joins ever since as of last week will get moved to the wait list as soon as I finish creating the lead magnet for that. But yeah, I just wanted to offer a little bit of, hey, doesn't need to be finished to get it out there. Just taking messy action is better than not taking any action at all. And if that is the only takeaway you get from this episode, fantastic. All right. Thank you so much, friends. I appreciate you listening, and I hope to see you on the next one. Take care.